Hey there, teachers. Tech tip from Miss Blakely. Just a quick thing. This is especially helpful for writing teachers, but it is also valuable for any teacher who does a capstone project of any kind. And basically, the idea behind this is getting at student engagement, effort, and helping you speed through grading, especially if it is for a large project or writing. First of all, one of the key things to structuring a project, which is good pedagogy, is just making sure that you have things in steps and stages. That way, if students are having trouble early on, you're able to catch it quick enough and redirect them so that when they turn in their final project, you have a pretty good expectation of what they're going to turn in. There's going to be something pretty worthwhile. Um, to help with this, obviously, steps and stages, chunking, etc. I make sure I give really solid feedback on their rough draft, and I also have them do a topic choice and a pitch if there is a agency and choice in the project option they are going to have if you're giving options. If you're not and you're giving an essay, it's good to check in on just maybe their thesis. Like I said, I give pretty solid feedback on their rough draft to make sure that they know that they're on the right track. And then I just kind of leave them alone. Um, During the editing stages, they do have some peer feedback opportunities, but I don't look at it at that stage because I'm waiting until their final project to really give them that congratulations and pat on the back. So this is for my composition class, and if you look, I've got their capstone assessment, and then I've got something called a final project presentation video, and that's really what I'm going to be focusing on today. Students for their capstone assessment had lots and lots and lots of different options because I basically gave them a list of different skills. And that those skills would comprise their rubric, and then how they demonstrated those skills was 100% up to them. So I gave them lots of different options like poetry, short story, a D&D campaign, an ESPN news broadcast, newspaper article, etc. Because really I was just worried about the writing in general and making sure that their writing and the different elements were well done. So now when we come back down here to their capstone assessment, I just want to talk about grading. So for this assignment, like I said, students turned in lots of different options, and no matter what they chose, they were graded on this same rubric. So I just wanted to really quickly bring up an example of a project. So this one, actually, let's go back to this one. So this one was a short story. So obviously, if my students are turning in short stories or something that has, or an essay or something that has a very large writing component, when you have, 100 students getting through 5 or more pages per student really adds up. I mean, you're talking about reading a full-length book plus having to give notes and feedback and grades to each of them. That can be very, very time consuming. So I actually add a component that helps me grade their project and also helps them reflect. So this is what I'm talking about when I said that in my modules and in my assignment, I gave them an additional assignment called Final Project Presentation Video. So my students actually had to create a presentation in which they essentially pretended that, okay, so I've got my project that I've done. Now I am going to introduce it, share it, and reflect on it. Um, the questions that you want to include in this are up to you, but I personally like to include things that help me understand their process as they created their project, that I actually have them show off their project and read select parts that they're particularly proud of. And then I also have them answer some crucial questions that are going to help me grade it, in addition to understanding how they feel about their project. Um, like, for example, how did you manage your time? What were your steps and stages in making it? If you could go back and do it again, is there anything you would change? Are you proud of what you made? What grade do you think you deserve? And what did you learn from making the project? Honestly, between them introducing it and explaining their overview of it, inspiration, reading a section and showing it off, and then reflecting on it in essentially 3 to 5 minutes, I get everything I need to know, how that project was without actually having to go through and read every single part of it. And I also find out, kind of more importantly, how the student feels about their project and how they feel about what they did. So, for example, this one right here, like I said, the students did a screen recording using any screen recording software they wanted. And so they introduce.
Hi, it's Taylor, and as you can tell, I decided to do a short story. And what inspired me to do the short story was an outline I actually picked
So she's answering those questions that I put into the assignment, and then she shares her
as the sun
story.
was setting. Sarah decided to go on a walk around the neighborhood to get.
So she reads as much of it as she wants or she can in that sort of 3 to 5 minute window they have to do their full presentation. And then at the end, she gets to talk about and reflect on her project and her process.
Or something else. So Sarah was hanging out with the girls all day, and so that concluded the end of the story. And how I finished my project in time was I wrote a page every day up to the date that we had to edit, and I just edited on from there. And I'm actually really proud of my writing skills that I did. Like, I feel like my writing has gotten increased a lot better since the beginning of composition. And like, if I had many options like this, like at the beginning year, I would definitely have not choose the short story. But I feel the idea and the outline of my story was really good for myself. And I feel like I don't deserve 100, but I feel like I deserve 98 or like one of those high grades.
So obviously, from this video alone, I learn and gather so much valuable information about her project, how she feels about it. Um, she, has to sort of evaluate her own project. If you want to go more in depth during your question part, you can even ask them to evaluate themselves on different parts of the rubric. I actually had them do that during the self-editing phase, and part of the peer editing process, so I didn't have them do it here in their final reflection. But I do think that just doing this step is going to help you with your grading so much. And it's also just such a wonderful way to find out what the students thought about their own work. And then, if you're interested, now that they've made these videos, personally, what I do is I actually have them share those videos with the class. Um, and so the students get to go in and they get to watch each other's videos, and they get to give each other feedback, and then I also have them vote for their the favorite one. So they vote for the student best sort of project and video presentation. And I'm not sure anybody's actually voted yet. Let's see. Um, yeah. And it's really neat because once the voting is done, you get, if you use Google Forms like I do, you get these little pie charts so you can see exactly, who's sort of in the lead and winning the voting process. And I personally like to give sort of a little award to the student who was voted best project of the year. So, anyway, that's just a little life hack from Miss Blakely that is infusing technology into your curriculum, not only to allow things to be done from a technical standpoint through distance learning, but also really elevates, in my opinion, their experience as students and also your experience as a teacher and a grader.